Good day, guys. So, I've been asked to do some digging, and I've done some digging into the YouTube code, the source code that you can get when you right-click on a video. Well, you can't see it on the video, but if you right-click on a video, you will get up this little menu, and then you can go look at the page source. Anyways, so that's the source for this one. This is a source from my video called Usof, the liar that comes true. Pirates. And I thought we'd go through it and have a look at what it actually says. I've done some programming before, so I know some of this. Keep in mind, this is only the HTML, the front end of the system. This is not the back end. And it's also not the CSS, where a lot of the coding is being done. The CSS, however, is located here in YouTube Central, CSS bin, player x2 webp CSS. That is the actual CSS file that is used for the player, the video player itself. So this code will not have all the details, but it will have some specific things that we should look at. So first of all, we want to look at the promotes terrorism. And here we can see the promotes terrorism. There's multiple of them. There's promote terrorism mobile, promotes terrorism Android, and so forth. This is all located within one bracket. So what we'll do is we'll do this, and we'll find that exact bracket. And here we go. This is the bracket that contains it. As you can see, this is where the promotes terrorism is. It's within the bracket going from here, or the quotations go from there to there. That's the end that it uses. So let's first have a look up here. Let's see what they're actually establishing first of all. So this is within the div ID player. So this is also within the preload. As you can see, this is within the bracket called preload, and within that bracket they are currently loading a player. A skeleton player. A skeleton player is something that's used when you're loading something that is not yet classified. It's not yet gotten content or specifics that are supposed to be placed within it. For example, if you have a frame without a picture could, for example, have a default picture or some picture you get when you buy it at the store. That would be exactly what we're trying to construct here with this code. That's what YouTube is trying to construct, except they're constructing a frame for containing a video. So, if we scroll downwards, we will see that it has the class player with player height, off-screen target player API. That's the class of it. That's the player API we're dealing with here. And it has a script that says, if window.youtube, window will be the window where the video is supposed to be shown. YouTube CSI. This I'm not quite sure what is a reference to, but it is there. And it's referring to window CSI tick CFG null. That's just trying to do a tick with CFG as one of the parameters. Basically taking time forward. It's using that if that within here returns true. That's what they're looking for. If that returns true, it should run this thing, which it will if there's nothing currently established. It sets the variable YouTube player equals YouTube player or bracket, open bracket, close bracket. This is a constructor. YouTube player dot config equals, and then we configure it. So as you can see, this is an open bracket that first ends here. This is where the close bracket ends. So everything within here is considered part of the config, the YouTube player config. So this is the default configuration when there exists no window so far. It gets the ID, movie player, the URL is set to nothing, blank URL. The arguments are set to And this is where it gets interesting. This, everything within here and down to the other part, is within the arguments section of the config. So in the configurations, there's an argument part, and this is within it. So as a recap, based on what we can find on this video, I find nothing here talking about the demonetization. That has been completely scrubbed clean from this one. We did, however, find a couple of interesting flags. So I will let you guys watch that now. And if you don't want to watch that, then I'll recap it here for you guys. So we found a couple of things relating to YouTube Kids. We found a couple of things that might be used to sort videos for advertisers. And we found a couple of interesting things about how the data is loaded on a page. So in general, what you can find in the sources menu is all defaults that are set on your video. So anything that I refer to in the end of this video will be defaults that are on a video before the actual video is there. The actual video will overwrite all of these things, most of them, with their owns. So there's not much we can actually see from this, except from the fact that you are, by default, classified as not ad-friendly, promotes terrorism, and not kid-friendly. By default. But again, this changes based on what's being inputted during this load right here. Get page data. So, if you're interested in seeing what I found, please watch ahead. If not, then that's the recap. Thank you guys for watching, and stay fucking classy. And I'll cut out anything that is not interesting. We have the -mpd, which is set to YouTube, API manifest -signature, and then a signature, a long one. Require less, yes, etag, and then key, and then basically just a long string that will be parsed once read. We have the thumbnail URL, which is this URL right here, which actually should lead all the way to the thumbnail. Let's have a look. No, that's the default thumbnail URL. That's the one you get if you have nothing. We have a token, we have the browser. It's basically just setting up a lot of things it needs to know about your PC before you do anything. Anyways, so this is just a lot of things it has to set up for knowing about you and your browser to optimize it. But then comes the most interesting part, flags. This is where things get interesting. So whenever a YouTube video is uploaded, it has a number of flags on it, constantly. And in this one, we will find a lot of interesting things. So let's get through it. Let's go through it slowly, piece by piece. So let's see what we can find in here. So first to explain what flags are things that the browser uses to know what to do on a video. This can be everything from showing advertisement to what kind of things should be shown to things that the website checks for if it's gonna display something, and everything can be a flag here. These are, however, due to the fact that this is something that needs to be on every video, regardless. These flags must be on every video. There could be more flags, but these are the mandatory ones. So, let's see. Here we have something interesting, guys. So we have set interstitial advertiser questions text equals true. So this is important. Set interstitial advertising question text equals true. So this has to do with showing an advertisement when a website or page is downloading, and this one is set to true by default. Now, whether or not this is used for anything, I don't know, but by default, it is set that you should show an advertisement while a website downloads. That will mean for YouTube that an ad starts playing before the rest of the page is run. So when you're downloading a YouTube page, you might see the video feed of the advertisement start playing before the comments and the featured videos and all that stuff loads. That's because of this one. This is your notification inbox. This basically just says that I'm not receiving notifications right now because I am seen as signed out. I've basically been on the page for so long that I've become signed out. Now this is interesting. We have the CSS by Flow for Chirp. I don't know what Chirp is, so let's look that up. Free open source tool for programming your amateur radio. Supports a large number of manufacturers and models. Okay. This seems like it's something left behind if they ever used something like this. But Chirp is an amateur. That's a radio. What does that have to do with this at all? This doesn't seem like it's necessary at all. Here we go. Here's something. Add video end render duration milliseconds. This has to do with when the render for ads is supposed to end. It would seem. Variability discount. This is with some sort of purchasing. Because you have HTML5 variability discount. That sounds like something within purchasing of some sort. I'm not quite sure what it is. But this might be something that the advertisers see, that we aren't allowed to see. Here's also something interesting. So we have kids show rebrand equals true. What this has to do with, I don't know. The only speculation I can come from with this flag in itself is that they have a specific flag for channels that have rebranded to show kids shows, or channels that are specifically showing kids shows, and that they use this flag for something like featuring things on YouTube Kids, maybe. That's all I can actually get from this. Now, this is interesting. I don't know what this is about, but it has to do with YouTube Kids, because it has the kids tag. It's kids enable post onboarding red flow equals true. I don't know what this has to do with, but it could have to do with, it could be something around the YouTube Kids and YouTube Red. Something about that, but I don't know what this actually does, and I'm not going to speculate on it at all. Here's something interesting. So we read about interstitial advertisement before, and here we have a thing saying that we should show interstitial for 3 seconds, and that's set to true. So technically, we're supposed to get a loading ad on our web page for 3 seconds on YouTube whenever we watch a video for 3 seconds. So here we can see that the default ad gain for a video is 0.0. That is the default that is set all the time. The reason why this is the default is because some videos are never monetized, and therefore this is never set. It never needs to be updated. But defaultly, every video gains 0 monetization. Now, this does not mean that videos are demonetized. all the time. It just means that they don't have a default monetization all the time. Here we go. Here we go. So this is interesting. This line here says disable mWeb iPhone ad click handling functionality, which would disable the click handling on an iPhone. The ad click handling on an iPhone. This could either, there are two ways I think this could be used. Either this is a flag that, if true, disables your clicking when you're clicking on an ad, so that you don't actually go to the page of the ad while on iPhone. Or it's a code that can be used to pop up something on your screen that you can't skip. You know, like those game ads on your phone that you can't skip until a certain point. Those kind of things. This one's interesting. I don't know what this actually means or what this actually is in reference to. But this is one is interesting anyways. Disable reporting HTML5 no vast ads as error. This seems very specific. I don't know what this has to do with. Here we go. Disable max AdSense channel limit equals true. This is the tag that says that you are monetization enabled. By default, this is online. This is on. So anyone who's not got their AdSense set up will have this disabled on their videos. But by default, this is on. Sponsors whitelist creator. Now this is interesting. We found something here. So there is a flag called sponsors whitelist creator. Now we already know that they do whitelist creators. Now this one is by default set to true. Most of this stuff is set to true by default, which is interesting. Because that means by default, before our video is actually put there, we are whitelisted from all sponsors. That is very interesting. Disable in-display ad unit on embedded. This is a thing that's true by default. Most of these are true by default. But this is a thing that basically disables the ad unit, the in-display ad unit on embed. Basically, when you embed something, you don't display ads by default. This is interesting. Okay, so we have HTML5 add stats bearer equals true. I don't know what this one has to do with, but I think it's to do with their statistics on ads. So I think this might be the advertisers for the report back to the advertisers, and probably has nothing to do with us. Probably. Now this is interesting. So we have the report promotes terrorism mobile. We have all of these tags, right? Now it was said in a tweet that I read that this has to do with the report system, and that the report system is always set as true. But that's not it. That's not quite it at all. This is a report back to YouTube system, not a report on other things. This is not our interaction. And we found the actual thing that handles all about the reports. this one's not it. This one has nothing to do with it, because this is the player itself, not the website. So this is the player itself reports something back to YouTube about this, or reports forward, either or. This is also an interesting one. So this one reads, kids enable existing marketing rebrand equals true. I wonder if this one also has to do with kid-friendly content. It must have, right? I'm not quite sure what the flag is about and when they would enable it. But it definitely has something to do with kids and being kid-friendly. Here we have another report. Report promotes terrorism Android, and there's multiple of them. There's four or five per block of this. Here's the iOS one. Ah, here's another one for kids. Kids MQB. That's the moderator for it. Use confirmed safe videos only. This is the thing that's turned on. If your video is kid friendly and it's turned on, by default that is set to false. This is most likely because of the Adpocalypse 3.0. They probably made a change there because of it, and set all videos by default to not be kids friendly, and then they have to manually or by a bot go in and enable it. If we have another promotes terrorism too. Now this is interesting. Sponsors disable equals true. So sponsors are disabled by default on videos. That is quite interesting. Though if you go into your video settings, you will see that you can enable sponsoring from there. Here's the interesting thing. By default, bullet LiDAR integration is enabled. So now you know. Here's an interesting one. Infobox 4 promotes terrorism reporting equals true. Now this is what had me a little bit iffy when it comes to this. So this is a flag that is set and can be set to show an info box for promotes terrorism reporting. Now, I think this one is different from the other ones. I think this one has to do with when you're actually reporting, whilst the other ones do not. The reason I think so is because this one's a flag specifically for the info box itself, enabling it, whilst the other ones are most likely reporting back to YouTube about it. Again, that does not mean that I am 100% accurate in this. I could be wrong. The other ones could actually be the report box that is just flags for them. But this is the thing that got me a little bit curious on what's actually behind this. What's in the CSS and what's behind that again. And that's all the interesting ones that we've found. So let's continue downwards. This is still the default for a player. Here we have the function that sets filler. This is the one that fills up all the things. Just sets all the things it's supposed to set. This one, if I'm not mistaken, also fills up all the Flash player. Same as the one up top, the one we had. It also has the filler data. That's a function that it runs just to fill in the data. All this is filler. And that's that runs the filler data in itself, that end here. This is the function that gets the page data. This is the one that actually loads the page data from your endpoint, your video, and starts setting it into the YouTube player via the YouTube player.config. That's what changes what is loaded into the YouTube player. And it gets a response back. It also gets a response back from YouTube initial data, which is the initial data. But this is, as I said, this is what it initially runs. Turn data, endpoint, yep. Video data hook, yep. Set filler, documental. Okay. So the rest of this is basically just the functions that run to set the data. After this, there's nothing else that runs on the page itself. So let's jump right over to add and see if there's anything more we can find with ads. And just see if we can find something fun. Support Google to request contents for legal reasons. Changes for legal reasons. Support bin answer. This is interesting. What is this? Removing content from YouTube. What is the issue? Because here is the other one. You see? This is the removing content part, which is a completely different page. Endpoint, privacy policy, blah, blah, blah. This is the report shit going on here. As I said, this is the report. This is where reports go on. This is not what renders the thing, but this is what does all the report handling. Then we have here. This is what I got a request from what's his name? CeeLo. Okay, so CeeLo asked me to look into ads on this video, and here we go. This is probably what he's referring to. So we have player ads, player legacy desktop watch ads render. That's the render for the ads itself, and this is what's set up. It's parameters. PYV add channel. This is a default. True VMAP. There is not much information here, but it uses the. This is the VMAP, and then it sets up a giant thread here for it. And that's it. So there's nothing really we can do about that. But I do see a couple of links that I would love to have a look at. But to wrap this up, I don't see anything related to demonetization or anything here at all. Too bad.